Well guys, you'll gather by the attire that it is cold. I'm just going fishing to catch anything I can. A few garden worms. The only way I've got round that is by balancing the bait stick on the, you know, on my barrow there, and using the front arms of it. Back here with a ground bait bucket. I could get one of those pod things, which I have got somewhere, but it's such a pain to put together. Can't be bothered with them. Float fishing. Free line almost worm with the single BB on it. It's a little bit of movement in the air. You can doubtless you can see that ripple over the back there. So you can see that it's just moving the bobbin a little bit there. So I put a heavier bobbin. It's a grade 2 premium washing up bottle top. It's been cut back, make it even lighter, because I was using my, I'll just show you. I was using those which I normally use, but that's too light. So basically I'm float fishing for perch, just a rod length out there, and same here, rod length, so 2 swims baited. That's got a whole little worm on it, freshly dug last night. Guy was just telling me you can actually get plastic worms, and they're banned in some fish. I've never heard of a plastic worm. I sort of don't see the point in that, because there's no movement, and is there smell from them? I don't know. More plastic in the environment, I guess. I don't know. I can see why they ban them though. But whichever fishery does ban them, I don't know. You have to ask at each fishery, can you use plastic worms? For me, no, I don't think so. I think I'd have a fresh garden one that's got smell, juice, blood, guts, wriggle, movement, smell of the soil it's been in. So, at the present time, no bites. It is about 2 o'clock, so late to the party. Not many people fishing here at the moment, so it's basically, it's one of those catch what you can in the winter days. Oh yeah, just as a tip here people, so it's basically, it's one of those catch what you can in the winter days. Oh yeah, just as a tip here people. Here's a tip, look, I dug these worms and I put a little handful of soil that they came out of in there, but I always, old school wise, put moss in there. They used to say moss is good for scouring the worms. Now I don't know whether about scouring the worms. I think what it does is retain moisture, because I turn it over, you'll see, look, I've got plenty of worms there. And they wriggle all in amongst this, and you keep those for several days in cool weather. I don't fridge them, you can fridge them. I actually just put them in the garage, which is cold enough at this time of year anyway. And of course I can use different size ones, small ones like this. So no bites yet. I'm going to go and probably snip one of these in half and just use a segment of it and see if I can get the skunk out the boat and at least get one fish to hand. Probably a roach, but you never know, I might get lucky with the perch. So float wise, I've got here just a regular waggler, 5-pound line straight through, match rod on both. This is what they call a fast tip. It's actually called a super tip, but it's very, you don't need to strike too hard with it, because it, you know, it just flicks it really fast. Easy to flick it up the tree, or if you're a specialist you can hook yourself in the trousers like this. But being barbless. Now that, believe it or not folks, that's being chewed, because I had twice that size on there. So I must have had a bite and missed it. I don't want to use the big worms, because I might also squeeze a chubbin trip in down on one of the southern rivers. I'm looking for real tiny bits of small worm, this one here. So look, there we go. So that's a normal worm, and I just take right behind the hook, just pop that off. So I've got, if you can see this there, you can see this is just a tiny segment of worm. I've plumbed the depth of the float. I'm barely a rod length out there. This wind's going to be annoying. It doesn't look it out there, but it's a bit of a drag. I'm going to come in and just rest it there. That's my setup. There's my ground bait, bit of sweet corn, bit of leftover chopped up prawn out the freezer. Freezer clear out, this one, guys. A total freezer clear out. That was frozen. I thawed it out and just put some bits and pieces with it. So I'm just going to, hello. Missed it. I think that might have been a bite. We'll try it again. So I'm on the bottom. I've got, put that down there. I've got the shot this far from the hook. I'm hoping I'm on the bottom because the wind is coming from here. I think I'm going to put my brolly up here because I'm going to get cold. But it also will straighten the line out to the float. It's not like a left to right or anything like that. Just be aware when you shot a float with a big worm, a big piece of worm, not so much with a little snippet like that, but you are actually going to find, look, like I've got there, the float does drag under. So maybe I need to pop it up a little bit higher there. It's a pleasant enough day, albeit cold. See, the float's gone, nothing on it, so I just popped it once. Just jerk it. Very often a perch will chase that worm. This one is just a big strangling gate lobworm that will pull that up there, hopefully give me a bite. It's a bonus for a very big perch. We hope, say, pound and a half, something like that. 2 pounds, that sort of size. That's what I'm looking for. It's weird, now that's stilled off perfectly there. Probably get away without the umbrella for the moment. I want to be a little bit farther out though. I want to be a little bit farther out. No, I'm just going to whiz that out again because I had a feeling I had a bite when I was talking to camera. Might be. There's some roach. Now you could throw it sitting down, but I'm so close. I want to get it right around the float like that. Look, people say you're walking near the bank edge. Come on, it's a commercial fishery. They basically know you're coming. Now that's sinking slowly now. It's not a fancy ground bait, it's just Bailey's #1 horse feed. That looked like a bite. Oh, I bumped a fish then, boys. Yes, look. Bait's gone. I keep snagging my wristband here. I think we're going to take it off. I've had it on a long time. Hasn't made much difference. So usual tips for beginners, just overcast a swim. Put the rod under the water, a couple of turns here. Put it into position, trying to sink it so you actually don't get that drag. Yeah, the wind's gone. Kind of move around just where I didn't want it to go. Just where we do. It's going to be one of those sessions. You never know. Even though I've cast the float out there and I went a little bit closer in with the ground bait, just bump your float so it's in amongst that ground bait. So the ground bait's fallen here short of the float. I just bump it in a little bit, trying to pull the float and the bait into the ball of ground bait because fish are feeding around there, hopefully anyway. I still think I need to go deeper with the float. No, I've got to put the brolly out, boys. I just hate being cold, I absolutely hate it. So pleased when we get some spring sunshine. Oh, it's like a 5 foot or 6 foot umbrella, this one. That's better, that's better. It's better, let's get organised. Big puff of wind, I'll be gone with it. Actually what I do is put that rod holder up against it. I've got the reels on back one as well here, look. Just there. So if you do get a take when you do something like this, you don't lose the rod. That should hopefully hold it down. Nasty cold wind. I'm not sure we're going to be needing that for perch fishing. Oh, I'm on. I'm on. Oh, what's this? There we go. A nice roach, and I didn't even know. I just looked as I was doing the umbrella. Keep still, buddy. A nice Watmore roach. Fat. It's very fat, that one. Look at that one. Very, very fat. Tubby little belly on it. Tiny piece of worm's done it. You're going to see this again. This is not the greatest. What we call a basic earthworm, this one. Well, there's always hope for perch if the roach can find it. There's a good chance the old, good chance the perch will find it as well. Would be nice to get one. About a pound, just to make it worthwhile. Ah, that was a bit wayward. Second one was okay. And a small one just in there. Well, I think the oh, float's gone. Missed it. That's interesting. Could have a few roach coming in the swim here. Listen, you get through a nasty, horrible, miserable, cold winter, and you're quite happy catching anything. I will settle for roach anytime. Out we go. I just bumped another one off, guys. Trying to get the camera at a different angle set up for you. I'm still not happy with the plumbing of this float. There's a nice roach about. Getting on for half a pound. I think the important thing is you want your bait near the bottom or on the bottom. And I don't want it so far over depth that I don't get a bite registration at all. And it keeps dragging under there. I've just been bumping it slowly. I think I'm going to replumb. Or eat a sandwich. Graeme, eat a sandwich. That normally gets it going. Well, missed quite a few roach, boys. Got one on now. So we don't ping off. Yes, that's a swinger. That's a nice one there, look. You can see that one. He messed around with that for ages. And he's just hooked. Just in the edge there. Messed around, they're not really feeding properly. I've seen nothing come out of that far bank at all. Now, I've missed two potential perch bites on this right hand one, the lobworm one. Yeah, put the ground bait balls in there. You allow, I don't know, 10-15 seconds for them to get to the bottom. Then after a while you see tiny little rings coming up. So something's coming off the ground bait. Now if you use sort of what they call an exploding ground bait, then it spreads on the surface. You can see it popping all the flavours and scents and all that sort of thing. But it's just plain stuff. So I figure this fish down there digging around the ground bait and releasing little air bubbles, and that's what's showing on the around the float area. So I'm tempted just to leave it there. Well, this was another one of those very slow bites. So plumbed in okay. I wonder if it is a perch. It's definitely going better. What is this? Tench? It's got a funny boil on the surface. Oh, hang on, people. Hang on. That's a nice one. Yes, sirree. That one is camera fodder. Very, very slow bite. Come out the hand. That's what I came for, really. Well, no, that's a lie, Graeme. You said you come for perch, but listen, I'll take that every time. Spanking great big roach. Beautiful. Well, I've had another carp run on this right hand one. Missed it, and I've got, I guess, another roach here. There we go. And I've come up with quite a good idea. I'll show you in a second. That's another nice roach. Let's get this straight back out because I've only got an hour left. Let me just tell you something here. Right. You can't put bank sticks in there, so I am going to go home, adapt my trolley here. Now if you look, I've actually adapted it after sitting here for 2 hours thinking about it. I've reversed the handles there so they curve downwards, and it's absolutely perfect because I use my bait bucket here so I can get my ground bait out like this. Just get my ground bait out. Obviously throw it in the wrong position, Graeme. Oh well, ho hum. But with the curve down there, the rod sits nice and flat, look, and it goes into This bit here, look, there. Just fits perfectly. That one, oh, I missed that one. Yeah, he's had the worm off. That is just about the right height as well. So I'm going to probably try and put a bracket or something to take a rod rest there. Tube maybe. Let's have a look. We've got a bit more bait. Using sort of half of tiny segments of worm at the moment, trying to get a big roach. Perch seem non-existent. There we go. The wind has gone down for a minute, so that's nice. See, look, the rod just goes perfectly. It's got little ridges here as well. There for your fingers, and that also puts a little kink there. So that's pretty handy. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm probably going to find a way of fixing a rod rest there, so that any other places I go to, I've got my automatic rod rest system there. I don't have to hold those big tripods, and maybe something for the back here. Oh, I keep missing these bites. It's a nice light for float fishing now. The wind's gone down. So pleased with that. Look, perfect height to grab. Come back out to the umbrella. There's only a very slight air movement, but trust me, it is cold. I think there's a snake coming here, guys. What's that thing? Is that a water snake, or is it just a bumblebee? Just there, keep dead still. Look, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. What is that? Weird looking fly. Freezing cold. He's obviously come across here on the wind. But now, look, beautiful setting sun's going round. Sheet of burnished steel in front of me. I haven't had much splashing going on. And my float's gone again. Is it a fish? Oh. Yeah, it's a fish. Sorry about that, people. Oh, nice roach. Barely a lifter, Graeme. Oh, that's very naughty. That's very naughty. That should have been a netter. Look at that one. And there he goes back. Well, I've had a few roach. I've had a bit of sport, as they say. That's what it's about at the end of the day. It would be nice to get a perch, but if they're not going to come, they're not going to come. That's all there is to it. I'm kind of amazed it's so cold. Well, I'm just hooked up on the 2 pound and size 20 hook, and it isn't a roach. Chances are I won't get it, but you never know. Strange things happen at sea. We're not at sea. I'm just going to take my time with this, because this might be the only chance I get with about 40 minutes left. If he comes off, I'm feeling he might come off. Just going to take my time. My goodness me, wouldn't it be nice to think this is a monstrous perch, but it's not, it's a carp. I did see some bubbles come up earlier on. I figured then either there's a tench or Mr. Carp's moved in. Of course, that is the downside of fishing light for and small hooks for roach and perch. If you do get a big fish, the chances are you might not get it. Patience pays, they say. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of it. I want to get him in and get it out again. That's the trouble. And in cold weather like this, they don't tire out very quickly. Plenty of oxygen in the water, so they're strong. Oh, that was lucky. I take a big lobworm on here, and that's got 5-6 pound line on it, so I'd have half a chance of. and then I'll put the match rod out. Well, that is a match rod there actually. I think that might be a foul hook. He's just taking too much line off me. What he's going to do is going to kite in left and snag me up on something. Oh, he might have untangled then. Here he is, nice fish. Bit in the rod. Oh no, not a bite on that one. Got him, boys. Yep. Oh, that's a good carp there. Wow, wow, wow. That's a nice fat one. I don't think he'll make double figures, but he'll do somewhere at about 8 pounds, 7-8 pounds. Let's get it straight back. That was a result. He goes. Brilliant. Well, let's assume the position again, people. On the float. I've missed another one on here as well. I've got 25 minutes left. Might take me 25 minutes to land this fish. Oh, oh no, I've got a tangle. That's better. I'm just going to take my time. Fingers crossed. Might get lucky with it. Way out in the lake. Probably going to bust me, but whatever. Got to try. I'm kind of amazed the roach didn't come on. Probably been pushed out by these carp. Well, I'm going to click this off, boys. Just when I see how I'll come back when I get it closer. Outside chance here, guys. I think he's either fouled or he's tangled up. He's in. Well, well, well. He looks a very unwell carp. That's a strange looking one. That is a strange looking carp. Wow, fabulous sunset coming. Obviously it's a fabulous sunset because I've caught some fish now. I've had some quite nice roach, I've got to admit. I've missed everything. I've not had a fish on this one. On the bobbin, I've missed every one. Lost a good carp, took me out in a snag. But look at this setting, folks. Just all that sort of burnished colour across there. Absolutely perfect for float fishing. Not going mad on the roach out there. Always amazes me here at Watmore. I think there's 1, 2, 3. There might be 4 people left. Okay, there's only 20, 25 minutes left, but it might it might be that 20 minutes that gets you the fish that you sat here all day for. Because it is definitely afternoon, evening. To me, that's what it's always been pretty good to me. I just hang on. Come on, fish. Greed sets in. Just one more fish. Yeah, I must come and actually try and fish. Although I've done good in the worm, you know, with red maggots in the winter, red maggots is normally pretty good. One of the better baits for the winter. Sort of, I'm going to call it a matchman's standby, really, red maggots. My standby is these bearskin headphones and this giant size 40-year-old umbrella, which you probably can't buy now. It's just nice to keep that airflow off, keeping you from getting too chilled in the winter. Look, this is winter fishing, people. This is what it's like in the winter. It's hard. You know, they're not suicidal. You've got to wait and wait, and you've got to capitalise on the bites when you do get them. But that's winter fishing, it's the way it is. It's still fishing. There we go. Look, that bobbin dropped back then. Just as we were talking about it. I'm just going to bump it. Because I can see the line entering the water there. And I can see the rod top, which is a match rod, a 13-foot match rod. I'm using a very soft match rod there. The float is way out there, but stationary. Oh no, it's just come up. It's just risen up like this. So something's picked the bait up. I'm just going to hang on a minute there. It's a toss up between this one going and that one going. I feel one's going to kick off. See, that float's just starting to creep a little bit, just starting to creep under. Just tensioning up, what we call tensioning up. Could be a fish on the bottom swirling around that's creating that movement on the float. And I say with a worm, especially for beginners, it's not a bad bait to use because you get a second or two to pause because they tend to hang on to it a bit longer. Oh my God, it's peaceful now, look at it. What a setting. Winter fishing. Well, I'm down to the last 10 minutes really, about 10 minutes I've got. Takes 10 minutes to pack up and 10 minutes to walk to the car, 5 to the car. Hopefully I don't get locked in. The other guy's just starting to pack up now as well. I can't wait to go back, get in the garage, and I think I'm going to super glue or owl dye a couple of nuts on the underneath of my arms of my trolley. And I think then I'll be able to screw one of the bite alarm heads in there. And I've got to work out how I can put something at the back. So I'll make a sort of... Oh, I missed it. I was talking to you guys, that was. Still going with the roach, people, which is nice. I think they're definitely about size on the worm than they are on the maggots. Oh, this might be fish of the day. Oh yeah, that's a nice roach. Look at that one. That is a beaut, is it not? See, now there, my problem has always been how much food to put in. So do I pile it in now with the last hour, or do I just put a little bit in because it's the winter? I know, I should know better. In winter it generally is just feeding on the little and often basis. I should know, it's probably one of my fishing books. I need to follow my own advice. Anyway, moving on. I found yet another use for that magnet I used in the, I think it was in a show looking for nails that had punctured myself and my wife's wheels. I found another use for it. Here we go. So here we have from my log burner a bucket of ash, which might seem a bit strange to see a man tipping the ash, not over his carpet obviously, but all over the floor of his garage. Why would he be doing this? Has he totally lost the plot? Well, that's fairly standard anyway. No, indeed, he's got the dreaded fishing magnet and he's skimming it backwards and forwards through here because obviously I have a lot of stuff I do. I build and make stuff with pallet wood. Pallet wood has nails, staples and stuff like that, and I want to use this ash in my garden. So a lot of the stuff I do now is less pallet wood and more of decent proper logs and stuff, 2 and 3 year old dried logs. But look, I've got to get the nails out, so I thought I'm going to use a magnet. Then, having got the nails removed, the man's even more stupid and bizarre. He's crunching it all up with his feet because some of the bits are part burnt where they're a different type of log. I then sweep it all together. It is nail or metal free and it can then go, hopefully, into the bucket and into the garden. Do they call it potash, the gardeners? I just call it wood ash. Coal, I believe they don't use, but we always used to use ash. We also used to put, wait for this, blood and bone meal as well was a great thing to use for gardening. And of course I'm going to put some on my rose bed there. They were very good this year. Bearing in mind, folks, this is, well, I'm doing this the middle of December. Oh, Graeme, why don't you give it some? The middle of December, look at this. Middle of December? look at the buds. I mean, beautiful orange buds there on these roses. Is this a late blooming or flowering rose? I don't know. The ones on the left of the rose bed don't. They've been and come and gone. And this one has still got flowers on it. Look. And it's just, I can't work it out. It's got to be all that global warming. And here you go. A geranium that's been outside in a pot of my daughter's. We've now pinched. I take off the dead head there. And it actually wants to bloom again. Now, the recent cold weather is going to knock this right on the head, I dare say. So what I do now is the ones we got outside, the geraniums we've had outside, you know, they're relatively expensive to grow, to actually go and buy. If you're buying finished plants, you're going to pay more. I have taken cuttings, but I do less and less of that now. So all I'm doing is removing the dead heads. Take all the dead heads off, chuck them in the barrow, and then what I'm going to do is try and repot these and either put them inside in my potting shed, which has less light, which I normally can salvage a few of these geraniums. Now, I have kept some for up to 3 years. And these ones have got very long roots for some reason. I don't know whether that was caused by the drought. So what I repot them with is, I've got some compost left over on one of the other flower beds. Zoom it all in. I know it's not cropped at the bottom for drainage. I'm not really bothered because in the winter with geraniums or many plants, you don't water anything very much. I snap off the surplus roots, I make a little scoop hole and I bury it. I'm going to call it shallow, so that the roots can in fact go down should they want to grow. They're not going to grow much. Chances are I'm going to lose, well, I'll keep you posted, possibly more than half of these I'm going to be losing anyway. It's just the way it is. They go sort of, we used to call it fausty, and they get a sort of mould on them even if you try and keep them. But I'm putting these for the present time in the greenhouse where all the logs, or not all the logs, some of the logs from Mike's woodland and stuff I've cut down at my house is drying. I use it as a drying room, yes. I got some underlay damp. I'm not going to throw it away. I dry it out. And then into here goes, on the top, the geraniums. They've all been potted up. So these have come out from the garden as well. Just out of interest, I also speed dry in the greenhouse Swedish fire torches for going on my beach fishing trips. I'm sure others will suddenly use Swedish fire torches doing cook-ups on the beach. I can see that coming. Hopefully I can get the one up first. This stuff is fleece that I keep in the potting shed, just as a backup, because that particular pane of glass is north facing and the cold weather we're getting at the moment is coming out of the north. I'm going to back it up, because even in the greenhouse that temperature, you know, on a relatively cloudy day is still going to be warmer than outside, but there's going to be a chill factor coming through that glass. So I'm just going to tuck it just to the back of the glass to stop the cold air coming through there. If it gets really freezing, I'm just going to pull it out and pull it right over the top, you know, of the plants. So there we go. I've been down to Mike's woodland as well, looking for the beech leaves, the autumnal colours that, oh dear, weren't there. They're all on the ground. But this is his woodland. I had to go up there. We went for a walk with the wife and daughter just to check everything out. Well, I'm just coming to have a look at Mike's woodland, checking on the cabin and stuff like that. I just noticed the leaves are all off. They've come down whoosh, and the beech ones here. You can see big coverage, big coverage. All still standing. Paddock's not smashed. Wood still looks pretty cool, and look how that's toned down now. It was a light colour, now it's toned right down. Out in the view, the sheep have all gone, obviously. Winter, cold. Plenty of water in the water butt from the rain. But what will happen is it will just come up over here and just sit there. So I'll just run a bit off. We need to cut a hole in here as a sort of run off and then tee it off down there somewhere. Otherwise just rot out at the bottom. Wood's all good. Well, it would be. It's 100 plus year old. Yeah, it's all clipped together. But lovely woodland. Well, what we were talking about, we noticed this year, because of the drought we had, the trees started dropping their leaves to sort of, I don't know, save themselves earlier, and so we all said it's going to be a really poor year for the autumn show of the fall, what the Americans call it, the fall, the leaf fall. So the colours weren't that vivid this year, and they just seem to have gone really quickly. This is all Mike's Beechwood area here. Lovely big trees, and now we get a lot more light in here. So what do you guys think? A pretty nice place to come for a walk. This sort of copper coloured carpet of beech leaves here. There's not many places you can find them like this. It's cold, I feel. Back to home and the log burner. A lovely walk though. Just walking along, it's not Mike's part of the woodland, but that is one big widowmaker there. My God, that weighs tons. I'm going to walk around the other side of that because the roots have all torn up here, and that one is leaning on, God, one branch. I think it's just one branch up there holding a 100-foot tree, weighs absolutely tons. That is El Risco. Oh, there's an enormous bracket fungus, do you guys call these? Look. Lovely colours. This one, if you look underneath, is absolutely like a tabletop. And I guess it's growing where this one's dead from the rotting. Really, really big one. Quite impressive. I don't know what that seepage is there. Does that come out of the fungus or is it coming out of the tree? So back from a fishing trip that was good but not good. The good was plenty of barbel and some chub. The bad was this. Yes, it ain't pretty. Not only that, I was about a half to 3/4 mile across bumpy ground when it decided to kaboom. And of course it rubs. It was ballooned, wait for this, out of here. It was like some horrible disease, like some sort of tyre pox or something, bulging out here. It's got all these bits of hair. It's split completely. I've had to drop the pressure in the tube, get it down enough so that I could at least get it here, because as you load it up, that pushes down. So it's been rubbing away like crazy. I've already rubbed the strap off there. It's been used and abused. It's carried tons of gear. I'm obviously going to have to get Mike to get me another casing. I'm just hoping that tube's okay, and I'm hoping it's just a fairly standard wheelbarrow tyre. Look at that. Do you think that that's a legal tread there? Perhaps not. Let's get the spanners and get it out. Also, another job I've got to do, I use this pike fishing to no effect. It's one of my beach reels. It's got on there £50 braid, it might be. Colour's gone from it. But what I notice is, further up the line I can sometimes get a spin, and if you get a knot or a loop in this, you just cannot get it out. So I've left the loop in there. I will show you, but I believe they're caused for the line spinning when you wind and the spool spins and you twist up. With mono it doesn't happen so much. With braid I feel it stays and keeps that sort of memory in there, so at some stage during the cast it's going to twist up, tangle, and it's bye-bye lure and some braid. At least mono, you know, you can snap out. This stuff, you'll pull it and you'll cut your fingers. So that's got to come off, and I've got to reload that, but that's another job. Right. I'm assuming I can get this nut off. As one nut said to the other, "What's your name?" "Fred." Fred. Oh, it's early in the morning for me. It's enough to make you want to bolt away. Oh, let's have a look what we got. No, it's not going to be good. That's the biggest one. Just look at that. That's terrible. Right, let's see what we got. Yes, life. It's moving. Now, don't know whether it's in one piece or it has spacers. No, I'm hoping it's just a standard wheel. I'm not wanting to lose the nuts. Let's just put that back and then get ourselves covered in oil. So I'm going to drop this down and see if I can get this casing off of there. Don't lose that. See, in life you never know when you're going to use a crochet needle. You think I'd use it for crochet? No, I use it for bridle rigging, tuna, for marlin live baits. We can get that in there, that'll hopefully. If we get all that out. There you can see it's just exploded. Normally you'd have wires running through a casing of a tyre. That's what I've always found. So we're going to get this off without damaging the tube, if possible. And generally I use 3 of these. Push the tube out of the, what do I call it, the locator hole. And then, providing it hasn't stuck, because sometimes these stick to, now they have, they rust in the centre of the rim, and that can mess the system up. That's better. Amazing how much bigger than the wheel it is. I wonder if that is even the real size. Then peel the casing off. There we go. Find the size and get the replacement. First thing, a phone call to my son Mike. Well, we've got the very shiny new wheel and a tube there. So let's see if we can't work out how to get this on there. Got a weird edge to it there. Not sure whether I'm going to be trimming that off or not. It looks like it's not even been trimmed off. Oh, I don't want to actually trim it off, I don't think. At the end of the day, hopefully that will still seal, because it's got the tube here. Now we get the tube in through here, and fingers crossed it all goes swimmingly, pretty much like reversing the way I took it out. This is how I'm doing it. I got the old tube there, but being as I actually ran on that, as it were, I feel it might be dodgy putting a new wheel on, so it's relatively cheap, £10 or so for the tyre and the tube. So we're working on the presumption that this can be used, kept back as a spare, and I use them on my regular garden wheelbarrows as well. Right, that's all tickety-boo there. I've got the valve as far up as I can get it out, so now I get the foot pump and see if we can pump her up. Something's happening. Bear with me. Oh, there it goes. Well, it's going to go up quick, so we'll just check the pressure. Do not overinflate. Not for highway use. Maximum 30 psi. Or not. It's about coming up to 20. And that is more than enough, I feel. So now see if we can get it on the barrow. Gonna give it the benefit of some silkoline grease. There's a little bit of grease on there, but I put it over the nut because you've got to get the nut off. I put a bit down the inside, although it does actually revolve on bearings. There we go, in we go. I almost enjoy pushing this again. Not. Oh, look at that. I'm going to be flying. That's my spare. Tools away, grease away. The only thing I did have was there. It's worn through something there, and I'm not sure what that even does. That sort of bracket bit there, I'm not sure what that does. No one's ever told me. Kind of hard to believe, but actually I joke not. About 3 days after mending that sack barrow, the cart barrow wheel, I go out, put a load of stuff in the wheelbarrow, concrete and stuff. I thought, wow, this is really hard to push. I got, wait for this, a panel pin nail through, yes, the wheelbarrow tyre. So it's been another change. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoy this show. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to 2023, the new year. I got another film the other day. I did a lot of beach fishing I've been doing recently. 44 films I think I've got for all next year, so I can just sit back, relax and put up one a week. If it's freezing cold, which it is now, I hate the cold, you know I hate the cold, guys. I won't be going out. I'll be editing and going through my box for negatives, seeing what old stuff I can find. And by the way, if you want to support us, there it is. TA Fishing, and what you do is you go on Mike does it all, I don't do it. It's taofficial.com if you want to support us, sweatshirts, hoodies, whatever, you know. Well, hoodies, it's hoodie weather at the moment. I lost, oh my God, I couldn't tell you. You know that deerstalker fluffy hat? I think I lost it at Berry Hill Fishing, doing a Xander. I think it fell out the car. I put it back in the car. I thought, well, that was lucky. And I've lost it. So I guess it's come back to life and jumped out the car and run down somewhere. A bit of a shame, but I'm going to have to get another one. But I did put one of those tea cosy beanie things. I don't like them, but I had to put that on and the hoodie over the top. And I managed to survive a beach fishing trip. But that film will be upcoming. I really enjoyed it. But now, outside, -5 to -10. I'm sorry guys, GP ain't going anywhere except in front of that log burner. Happy days, we'll see you in the next fishing show next week. There will be one, and hopefully some good fish in it. I've got other stuff to show you as well, but I might do a double upload just before Christmas. See you next time.